let's go to Cate from the Aesthetic Works, who will tell us a little bit about how to spruce up the style indoors.
Biophilic design is all about the study of improving people's mood, their health, their sleep, all those kinds of things. And people are a bit scared of plants, I think, they think they're difficult to look after, you have to repot them, and you really don't. So if you're careful with what you choose and you ask advice, any good garden centre will provide you with lots of advice. The plants I would recommend, if you're not familiar with gardening, are really easy to care for. So things like succulents, things like aspidistra, which is bomb-proof. If I can keep these, anyone can keep them. Think about the heights of things, if you don't have much room, again, we've mentioned hanging plants, hanging things from the ceiling. String of pearls are really good for that. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can incorporate it without having to have somewhere like this. I think key for autumn, as we've already sort of touched on, is very much those 70s colours, the aubergines, the mustards, the oranges. We've got a great sort of pinky example here already, which would look brilliant. Anything with a variegated leaf would look amazing as well. It's thinking about what statement you want to make. It may be that you go for one amazing show-off piece, or you may go for lots of little ones. If you go for little ones, thinking about grouping. So in design, with anything, odd numbers always look better. Don't know why, it's just the law, it does. So for example, these three, if I were to take away and just have the one, it just doesn't have the same punch as having something in a group in an odd number. I think social media has had a massive influence on lots of design elements. Pinterest is the go-to place for people looking to redesign their home. It's accessible, it kind of gives you a glimpse into what an interior designer might do with a space, and increasingly we're seeing designers using that biophilic theology, I guess. They have such a positive impact on where you're living in your working space that it's really worth just giving it a go.
Bringing the outside in is a really great and innovative way of decorating a room, and indoor plants bring their own benefits, which can include help with sleeping, it can improve our knowledge, and it can even help with our mood, so it can help with depression and anxiety. And Cate's here in the studio with us tonight.
Hello.
You've already given us some great tips in that film, and there's so much inspiration, isn't there, at Urban Jungle, of all the indoor plants and cacti and succulents.
Definitely.
So you are an interior designer. So tell us a little bit about how plants can really add to an indoor space.
Okay, there's so many different ways that plants can really add to an indoor space. You don't have to have a lot of room. You can make use of the height in your rooms. They can add punch to a very neutral colour. They can also really sort of highlight darker colours, really bring in that variation and the contrast. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can really add a punch to your interiors.
And they make you feel so good, don't they?
They do, yeah,
sitting
totally.
here with all these plants is amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got some photographs here. Perhaps you can kind of talk through what we've got.
Yeah, so this is just kind of an example really of using that vertical space, and it's an odd number as well. So really
Odd is good.
Odd is good, yeah, we
Okay.
like odd, yeah. So just using that vertical space, not just having to keep them on the ground like we've got here, that there's all sorts of different ways you can make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
So another vertical space. I love this one because it's a bit of recycling. It's just old plastic
on
bottles.
a budget. It's always good to do something on a budget, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how amazing would this be in your halls of residence?
Yeah.
If everybody's collecting the Coke bottles.
Oh, that's cute.
It's quite cute for a little one's room, isn't it?
And it's really nice for succulents, cacti, that kind of thing, that are really easy to look after, but give you that kind of greenery.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a really fun way to introduce children to gardening as well.
Right. Yeah. So lots of colours. Oh, this is cool, isn't it? I like that.
Again, a little bit of recycling. It's an old map, just around an old, probably baked bean tin. So again, recycling, using what you've got around the home. It doesn't have to be expensive.
So what's kind of colours for this sort of season then? What would we perhaps use?
Okay, well, there's huge amount of really dark colours out there at the moment, and green just looks fantastic against it. Those rich jewel tones, and again, anything variegated just looks amazing against it. If you're not so keen on colour and it's white, well, it's a really easy way to freshen your scheme and to just bring a bit more vibrancy.
Absolutely. absolutely. Just, I love the bright colours.
Yeah,
and I love
me
autumn,
too.
like the oranges and the reds and all of that's really lovely.
Beautiful, really
So
lovely.
amazing. Thank you so much for coming in, Kate,
Really
and
welcome.
opening our eyes to the cost-effective ways of using indoor plants as decor. And if you'd like to follow Kate on social media, check out her account. It's the Aesthetic Works.